Hey everyone, this is Exploring Fiction, and welcome back to another video.
Hey, before we get to the video, check this out. 99% of my viewers are not subscribed. If you're a part of that 99%, please consider subscribing, as I would love to have you here. Anyway, let's get back to the video.
So, just like the thumbnail says, I read Dune for the first time, and these are my thoughts. So, before we get into it, there will be spoilers for the Dune book, just so you're all aware. So, guys, I've never seen either of the Dune movies, either the one from the 80s or the more recent one from the 2020s, mainly because I wanted to wait to read the book before I did so, and now I finally have. And before I got into the book, there were some things about it that were just kind of in my, consciousness, like in the public consciousness that some people know, such as that spice was a big thing, and that it was Atreides versus Harkonnen. I didn't know what that meant or anything, but I knew that was part of it, and something about a desert planet. And that's really all I knew about Dune. But let me just say, this book blew me away, and it might be my favorite sci-fi story ever if we're counting Star Wars as more of a space opera, space fantasy. But more sci-fi, Dune might be my favorite ever. Like honestly, I thought it was going to be kind of a bore to read through it, but I was honestly captivated the entire way. And for me, the main reason for that are the characters who stuck with me long after I finished the book, and the multiple themes that were woven together throughout the plot that really made me reflect once I put the book down. So first getting into the characters, I mean, just there were just so many of them that I could picture as vibrant living people, and they all had their own identity within my mind because they were written so well by Frank Herbert. I mean, starting with the main protagonist, Paul Atreides, he was I was afraid once I learned that he was this chosen one, and especially when he got his powers of foresight, where he could kind of see the future. I was afraid that he was going to get boring because there was no way he could die if he could see the future. But he was so well written in that just the way they described his powers was great, like this storm in his mind of the past, the present, and the future, and how he's kind of walking along it. And having him being unable to sometimes see the outcome of certain events, even though he's pictured other events in his mind, like knowing they've happened, just made it so much better. And all the right moments to be tense were intense. Just taking, for example, his when they first encounter him and his mother first encounter the Fremen out in the desert once they've escaped, and what the final climactic duel with Phaedra Harkonnen in front of the Emperor. Those two moments, they could have been really boring if Paul knew that he was going to survive them. But even though he could see into the future, there were certain points, important points, where he couldn't, and he didn't know if he was going to survive, and that just made his character way more enjoyable. Even though he had these chosen one trope powers, you still felt the intensity of each and every conflict, and you felt captivated by this character. And also this idea that he's trying to avoid this crusade that's made in his name the whole time. There's just this feeling of creeping dread because he pictures this outcome that he doesn't want to happen, but every step he takes to survive in the now is leading toward this outcome that he doesn't want to happen because of its catastrophic consequences. So I thought that was very cool. His mother, the Lady Jessica, I thought was another great character. I didn't really like her all that much in certain parts of the story, especially when she didn't know she was being accused of being the traitor. But I mean, she was justifiably angry, but I thought her character was a lot better when she became the Reverend Mother. So, she had her motivations and for doing things that she did. And really, when you get to the end and you read the appendix, at least in my version of the book Dune that has the appendix in it about the Ben Gesserit goal. Hopefully, I'm pronouncing that right. By the way, I haven't seen the movies or anything, so I have no idea how it's supposed to be spoken. But the Ben Gesserit goal of that was supposed to be Feyd-Rautha was the male to breed with the supposed daughter of Duke Leto and Jessica to make the chosen one, but she defied orders and gave birth to a male and Paul. I thought that was kind of cool to learn. But anyway, once when Jessica became a Reverend Mother, she was great. Um, Two other characters I was surprised I liked were Thafir Hawat and Gurney Halleck. And Hawat I didn't like as much as the story went on. He was more of better in the beginning because he was on the Atreides side, not the Harkonnens. And Halleck I liked more at the end after he reunited with Paul and Jessica. And I like these characters because it was cool in the beginning. You felt that they were friends with the Atreides house, and then you feel this time pass. So when Halleck and again Hawat, I guess after he's with the Emperor, when they reunite with Paul, you really feel like a lot of time has passed and you're seeing old friends. Duncan Idaho was another cool character, and I knew Jason Momoa was cast as Duncan in the recent movie, so I thought he would kind of have a lot more prominent role in the book. I didn't realize he died so early on. I figured if they cast Momoa, someone as big a star as Momoa as Duncan, he would have a lot more to do. But then I looked at the rest of the cast and realized the cast is stacked. So, well, I was initially surprised with Duncan being killed so quickly. I kind of moved past it. And then the rest of the characters also were fantastic. From Duke Leto to Baron Harkonnen to Feyd-Rautha to Count Fenring to the Emperor himself to Kynes and his goal, which we can get into later, to Shani to Stilgar. I mean, they're all just fantastic, and they feel very well fleshed out. Even some of the minor characters, such as Paul's sister Aaliyah and someone like Jamis, who Paul killed when he challenged him about being the chosen one. I thought all the characters you could really, even if you didn't relate to them, they all felt alive. And so that was the best part about this book for me and really kept me immersed. And like I said, the other thing about this novel that I loved so much was the intertwining of themes along the plot. So not only was this a great Chosen One story, but I loved at the conclusion where you found out that, Paul had a lover in Shani who gifted him a son who eventually was killed. But you find out this Princess Irulan, who is writing all of these pre-chapter little paragraphs from certain texts within the world of Dune. You find out that she is the daughter of the Emperor who ends up marrying Paul, so he has a line to the throne. And so I thought that was great overall, and the story of romance there, it's an interesting one where even if you marry someone you don't really love for the benefits of that within the political, economic, social world, you still can have a different lover for someone who you would rather have married for love. And then, like I mentioned before, the whole plot with Liet Kynes and turning Arrakis into from a desert planet into a planet that's hospitable to many people was just genius. And when they were explaining that, and it was kind of part of the appendix where they talked about Kynes' father's writing, I was just blown away. So the Fremen are on this struggle that you think is purely religious, and they're being oppressed by the Harkonnens, and you think they're fighting back just because of their religion and being hunted, but soon you realize they're cultivating water and building and amassing this wealth of resources so that they can turn Arrakis hospitable for all over the goal of this planetologist environment guy who came in, being Kynes' father, was absolutely breathtaking for me. I did not expect that to be like the main underlying thing at all in this story, and it was just fantastic. And one final thing that I will say about Dune was the world building had a steep learning curve, but it honestly made it better because once I kind of got a grasp on what certain things meant, I could I felt like I was accomplishing something and it really helped build the story. Things such as Mentats and Chris Knifes and Ben Gesserit's and all this stuff that sounds like nonsense to someone who would have given up on the book or didn't read the book at all. You're thrust right into it and they don't tell you what any of it means really. But as you read along and find out, it really helps with the immersion. And it was just a great little world building technique that I really appreciated. So, guys, let me know below if I missed anything. Dune is a really complex story, and there are definitely things I loved about the novel that I didn't talk about in this video. So, let me know what your favorite parts about Dune are, and I'll probably agree with you on most of it. So, yeah, leave a comment with your thoughts, and we can have a discussion about it. Leave a like if you enjoyed. Subscribe if you're new here. I would love to have you. And like always, I will see you next time.